Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mystical Awakenings right here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. And we are super excited to bring our guest on tonight, and we'll let Arjo tell you all about her.
Our guest tonight is well known in the UFO community. Her name is Kathleen Marden. She is the niece of the famous Benny and Barney Hill abduction case in the early 1960s. She is an award-winning researcher, author, on-camera expert, hypnosis practitioner, and international conference presenter. She is widely considered one of the leading UFO contact researchers of our time. Since 1990, she has researched and experienced the perplexing nature of contact with non-human entities. She has worked on 3 comprehensive studies on nearly 5,000 experiences and has 6 professionally published books. Welcome, Kathleen Marden. Hi.
Yay. Hello, Kathleen.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. It's great to have you here and welcome. I think this is the first time you have been with us on Mystical Awakenings, isn't it?
It is the first time, and I'm so pleased to be here. I've spoken at your conference before.
Yes.
And just absolutely love both of you.
We love
you. And we love you too.
To be here with you.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yes, and I'll tell you, you were a big hit at Michigan UFO Contact. Everybody loved you. Everybody loved you. I believe you were probably the only one that about sold out of books. So
yeah, everyone enjoyed your presentation and your information and all your books. So we've had a lot of good feedback on it. But and we got to get you back out there.
Oh boy,
yes.
So we're working on 23.
So you've been. We were talking off camera, and you've been a busy lady. I mean, not only last year, but the year before, and the year before, and the year before. So
30 or so.
30 years.
Yeah. And I think I'd like to get into more of that intro because that was amazing. If I can bring some of that up, I just want to. Can I do that?
I clicked off.
You clicked off. Okay. Anyway, the things you've done are amazing. I mean, all the people you've worked with and helped. Through hypnosis and their experiences. Truly must be amazing to listen to these people. It must be amazing to listen to their stories and listen to their express themselves and what comes out and the things that you learn from that, that we're not alone. And something's going on.
Absolutely, it is. And, I started out as a nuts and bolts investigator. I mean, everybody was in those days. It was, is this real? Is there any evidence to indicate that it might be? And so, that's what I did. And I did that for many years. And of course, I investigated my own aunt and uncle's case and my own case for, probably 32 years at this point as well. In my own personal case, longer than that, because I was as skeptical about that as I was about any other case and always looking for evidence. So it's been a long time. And what I've learned along the way is simply fascinating because, in 2011, I had to face the fact that there is high strangeness phenomena associated with ET contact, and they cannot be separated. And it is scientifically dishonest, in my opinion, to ignore things like intelligent light orbs in one's home, sensation that something unseen is walking on the mattress, the full bodily tingling and the downloads of information. There's so much that occurs that, and how can you prove any of it? You're sensing these things. Of course, you can photograph orbs. I have video of an intelligent orb that entered the body In one of my cases, the man had cancer.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Told him to ask the ETs for healing. Then that orb came into his bedroom, flew across the room, dove down into his body, and healed him of cancer.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Now you have this.
that evidence.
Yeah, you have that on video, right?
Yes, I have
Yes.
the evidence in the medical record proving that he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Truly
you know,
amazing.
so
Yes.
I have that, but then the medical community could say spontaneous remission.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not going to argue with those people. They have their own beliefs, their own view of the world.
Exactly.
I have a more open mind because of my background and experience.
Right. Right. And this is really, your whole life has been spent literally in this field because of who your aunt and uncle were.
Yes, I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
When they were taken in New Hampshire's White Mountains. So, I was aware of this on the day they returned home. It happened the previous evening. Betty called my mother that afternoon when I was returning home from school.
Oh, wow.
We were at their house within a day or two. And I heard the story myself. I saw the shiny spots on the trunk of the car that had a magnetic field, causing a compass needle to rotate, to whirl, actually. The watches that had stopped working and never ran again. I didn't see the damage to the dress until years later. Betty had already placed it in her closet.
Right.
Barney's best dress shoes so deeply scraped that he had to buy new shoes without a reason that he was aware of at that point for this to occur. He remembered seeing non-human entities on the craft. He looked at them through binoculars as the craft hovered only 50 to 100 feet above him. And
yeah, I remember that,
him greatly. There was a lot of conscious recall about this case. They remembered being on the highway and then finding themselves on a dirt road with tall trees all around. They remembered a roadblock. They remembered a fiery orb that appeared to be sitting on the terrain. Now, that kind of thing, that was all conscious recall. The buzzing sounds on the trunk of the car in the same location where they had these shiny magnetic spots the next day. They hadn't been there previously. Right. So, I mean, there was so much evidence that the skeptics like to ignore or dismiss concerning that case.
At age 13, were your parents and Benny, were they open to letting you listen to the stories? I mean,
yes.
Yeah. And how did you feel at 13? What were you thinking?
I was fascinated.
Yeah.
I was fascinated that, that this had happened, because prior to this, I'd never heard of extraterrestrial visitors or what we called flying saucers in those days, but I hadn't even heard of those. My family was interested in politics. My father was a Boy Scout leader. I was just, a country girl growing up in a farming community, small farming community in New Hampshire, doing what every other kid was doing. I was a good student, class leader. I was in 4-H, things like that. But, so
very normal.
This was something new. It was entirely new, and it made me want to study astronomy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the impact it had initially.
Right.
When I saw Barney here, I became fearful.
Yeah, I would imagine. I've listened to their interviews in hypnotism on line before, and you can sense, you can feel, and kind of hear in their voices, the pain, the fear. when
Yes.
they relive that. And, my heart just breaks every time I hear it. So, as family, as a niece, that had to have quite an impact on you as well. That
It absolutely did. The concern for my aunt and uncle over what had occurred, what the evidence pointed to, but what they couldn't remember. And what they couldn't remember was extraordinarily frightening, because this was the first scientifically investigated case of alien abduction, as we called it in those days, in the United States.
right.
And so Betty and Barney were greatly frightened, but the ETs continuously told them telepathically that they wouldn't be harmed. They only needed to do a few
Right.
simple tests, and then they would send them on their way. So it wasn't like these were monsters who were doing harmful things to Betty and Barney.
Right.
It was that these entities that appeared to be doing a checkup on Betty and Barney. And I suspect, this is speculation, but I suspect it wasn't Betty's first time.
Right.
From what I know now.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe not Barney's either. I don't know about Barney, but
Yeah.
he spent his summers on the family farm in Virginia when he was a boy, and so they were picking up, these ETs were picking up kids on farms and along the Great Lakes, and in a number of different rural locations back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. So when you wrote the book about them, it blows my mind how many people still say who? Did you find there were a lot of people that had no idea? I mean, they bought your book and they read this, and this was information they were getting for the very first time. Oh, and here's Kathleen's latest book, Forbidden Knowledge. What
so a lot of people still don't, mainstream people with other interests don't know who Betty and Barney are, even though there was a made-for-television movie about them in 1975. The first book written about their experience was a New York Times bestseller and printed in several languages around the world. The first newspaper article on their case, which was published as the result of a violation of confidentiality by one of Betty's friends to a newspaper reporter, who then investigated the case himself, went as far as Australia. I have newspaper articles on that from Australia. And it was handled very sensitively and without ridicule. So I was pleased with the way it was handled in that time frame.
Right. Yeah. And I think it was honestly their case that really opened all of this. We are at this point of disclosure now, partly because of them, a big part because of them.
Yes.
Had they not been willing to share what happened, and bless their hearts, it had to be terrifying to share it. But had they not, who knows where we would be with this?
And that's what I tell people. Why would they even share this and take the ridicule and take all that? Well, what would they have to gain? Nothing.
No, they had nothing to gain. But I do have to say that they had close friends who were military officers who realized that this was true and were very supportive of Betty.
Oh, okay.
Thank goodness.
Nice.
Thank goodness. Yeah. So Bill had your latest book up for a moment there, Forbidden Knowledge. And how is that going? I mean, that is an amazing book.
Some people have told me that it is the best of the 6 books that I have written.
Wow.
I think it's those who are looking for deeper insight into the mystery regarding these phenomena.
Right.
It's not for a beginner in this field. I don't
Right.
think, my book, what's it called? It will come to me eventually. It's blue.
Forbidden Knowledge or one of the other
No,
ones?
it's another one.
Yes.
It's on the history of government involvement in the investigation of UFOs. There's major studies, the decision to cover up their studies, and those who are responsible for the cover up and what they did to every major case. That's a really good book for beginners. It's called Fact, Fiction, and Flying Saucers.
There you go. There you go.
Now, the Hill case is a good case for beginners who want to know more about the abduction or contact phenomena.
Right.
So,
right.
but the new book contains, what I think of as more esoteric knowledge.
Yeah.
So you have to have some understanding of all of this. If you don't, you'll just think this woman's.
I get that. I start talking to people and they come in and they like, where are you coming from? And I have to back it off and back down. And
how many LSD trips have you taken?
Seriously.
Right. Right. And then I look up and I see the banner that I hung up tonight, with the mushrooms and the peace sign. So yeah, that kind of would go along with it. But one thing I want to know, Kathleen, what was the one thing that really inspired you to write Forbidden Knowledge? What made you say, you know what, I have to put this information out there?
Well, a lot of people were asking me about my personal story, about my own life and work. And I thought, well, probably this is a good time to write about it because those who are professional ridiculers and disinformants have no impact on me at all any longer. I don't read what they say, and I certainly don't respond. So I thought, well, this is a good time. And then as I was writing it, Kevin Briggs, who is the contact experiencer, who invited me and other members of a research team to meet the Council of Eight and to ask questions of them for, once a month for 2 years, but we're continuing a couple of times a year at this point. So Kevin asked me if I would like to put a transcript into Forbidden Knowledge. And I thought about it. I had never intended to release it, but then I thought, there are so many good questions and good scientific answers from the Council of Eight. And we conducted this sort of as a scientifically oriented experiment with the different things that we use during an investigation, like laser thermometer, magnetometer, things like that. And each of us independently was able to witness evidence of who these entities are and to meet with them and communicate. Couldn't see them, but we could certainly feel them.
Oh, wow.
It's very strong tingling sensation, heat, and downloads of information, as well as visual evidence.
So I kind of want to get into who these people are a little bit. Now, when you did all these time with these people through the hypnosis and talking about their experiences, how many different species do you think that you encountered with them that they were talking about? And who are they? The
Council of Eight?
Yeah.
Okay, on the Council of Eight, there are Ort and D, and they say that they are Arcturians.
Arcturians, okay.
Kevin has seen them I have seen them only in my mind's eye.
Right.
They have not materialized in front of me. But they look fairly human, light brown hair, blue eyes, larger eyes than humans have, about 6 feet tall.
Okay.
Very kind, educators, and fifth dimensionals.
Okay.
And then we have Orla and Arna, and one is tall white female. The other is a blue avian who kind of looks like Donald Duck to me.
Right.
In
and
my
for some reason
they
they take that form on when they become physical as a bird. That's what I read. That
for some reason.
that's what they like to look at. So
I have seen the blue with my eyes closed through the corners of my eyes, and I saw her image, and I said, "Come up close to me so I can see better." But she came so close to my face that it was difficult to see this. But I detected what I thought was like a duck's bill, not long, but something like that.
Right.
Okay, so Orla and Arna, Chica and Targ. Chica is a tall, more than 6 feet tall, I think, mantis type.
Okay.
And what I think of as a jolly fellow because of this smile. It's maybe it's just his mouth coming up or a line, but it looks almost like the line of a cartoon character's smile. So that made me have warm feelings toward him. Targ is a tall gray, and then there's Zark, who is a shorter gray. I'd say I'm about 5 feet tall, about as tall as me.
Yeah.
And then they're fifth dimensionals. And then there were 2 ninth dimensionals, which makes more than 8. But Ra, who is not the Egyptian sun god Ra, he claims,
Right.
is the 9th dimensional, who says that he is an overseer of this quadrant of our galaxy, and that this is sort of a protective part or group of an extended federation of ET visitors. That's what they told us. They say that Shiva, not the Indian Shiva, she's female.
Right.
And she reminds us of an angel, although Ra and Shiva no longer have bodies.
Right.
Ra claims to be an Anunnaki. And Shiva is a 9th dimensional healer who is always referred to as being Ra's right side.
Okay.
No, so, I don't know if it's the male and female energy combined.
Right, right.
Or if they're 2 separate entities, because there would be a council of 9 if they were 2 separate entities.
Right, right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And Shiva has healed all of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, this Ra isn't the same Ra that's associated with the Law of One. You're familiar with that?
I've read about other Ra's,
but
I'm not retaining the information at the moment. What is this Law of One?
It's a very the Law of One was was channeled and written down, and it's volumes and volumes of information about us and the universe and everything else. But
someone claiming they're channeling Ra.
Ra, yeah, this is Ra.
Who is telling us about the Law of One.
Right. So I don't know if it's the same Ra or not. I would have to compare.
It wouldn't surprise me.
What they said.
Well,
yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I would think, who knows, but I know in our species, it's not always the same entity with the same name, right? So there may be more than one Ra.
There could be more than one Ra.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And personally, I have a whole thing with the whole law of one and humans teaching it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that for some reason, because it's really learned, basically like we get the downloads.
Mm-hmm.
It's universal oneness. So I won't even go there. We'll stop that one right there. So RJ's been writing things down.
You have had experience with the Council of Nine, but now you transformed it into the book, right?
Yes. What I did is, my part in this experiment that we took part in was to audio record all of the sessions and to transcribe the information and pass it to the other members of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put a great deal of work into that, hours upon hours.
Right.
And so when I was writing my book, Kevin offered me the opportunity to share this information with the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this sounds like a very good opportunity, because the Council of Eight wanted their message to spread around the world. And my book is selling around the English-speaking world.
Right.
So
wonderful.
That's a very good thing that is occurring. They actually thanked me for doing that. So I was pleased.
That was interesting. Now, you said that they're okay with you sharing it now, but was there a time they did not want you to?
There was a time where they wanted us to learn their messages, their information, because we went in really as students.
Right.
We didn't know what to expect. We were there as the humans with the equipment, the investigators. We're going to see if this is real,
right?
Or if somebody is faking or imagining this.
And they're all smiling at you, yeah.
And then, so we were the ones who did the learning from them, and it all made sense. We learned about the differences between the dimensions. We learned about consciousness, about the way they live. And those fifth dimensionals said that their lives are not that much different than our own. They have more technology. They live longer. They have better medical cures, that sort of thing. Yep. They're living in a higher dimension, and their lives are just easier. They no longer fight wars.
Right.
That kind of thing. But they gave us a lot of specific information too, that's in the book that I think is very important to pass on.
Right.
And we weren't willing to pass this information to anyone at first, because we had to do an investigation. We needed evidence. The only evidence that we didn't receive that we requested is we wanted them to materialize in front of us.
Right.
And they said, well, we could do that, but it is very difficult for us to do that. Mm-hmm. And so we're not going to do it, but maybe someday we will. Right. They haven't done it yet.
Well, but you said you saw them in your mind's eye.
In my mind's eye.
To me, it's just as good for me anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For those who know what that means,
right,
and what that is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have drawings that I did of all of them.
Oh, nice.
In extraterrestrial contact.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we have a question. Are there any conflicts among the various alien races, competition, open rivalries, etc.? Interesting.
Well, they're very old races, and they said that there used to be conflicts, but the only conflicts that they have at the present time are with those species who more interested in doing whatever they want with humans and taking whatever they want from humans. And so there are no reptilians on the Council of Eight. And some of these reptilians work with kind of rogue grays that might not even be humanoid grays. They could be biorobotic,
right, or synthetic,
whatever.
Yeah,
and not like the two grays that are on the council.
Yeah,
I like them.
Yeah. So overall, you feel that the majority of the species that we're dealing with are kind and loving and looking for the betterment of the whole.
That's what the Council of Eight is comprised of. And that is their agenda, a protective force for this portion of the galaxy. They say that they are here to assist in our development. They say that they planted our seed here and come back from time to time to sort of monitor our progress and to do genetic interventions when needed.
Right.
So that we won't be so barbaric that we will destroy ourselves.
Yeah.
They said that we, in the very distant past, did destroy our planet.
Yeah.
And they say that they won't let it happen again.
Right.
Good.
And we know that there have been craft above many nuclear weapons sites that have shut down the nuclear weapons sites.
Yes.
And so, just giving a message that you shouldn't be doing this, boys and girls. This is dangerous.
Right. And, exactly.
They don't want to see us destroy ourselves again.
No. And, what we do here affects the rest of the universe. So
absolutely.
That's why they're monitoring too. Every time we let those bombs off, it affects the other dimensions and the other areas, and we need to be aware of that.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the chapters in Forbidden Knowledge is about Admiral Herbert Knowles and the Canadian government's UFO man. Oh gosh, my brain tonight. I have a little bit of COVID fatigue.
Yeah, I get that
brain fog, and that's what's affecting me. But the other one is the Smith, Wilbert Smith, who was the head of the UFO desk for the Canadian government, a brilliant engineer. And they were communicating with ETs back in 1954. And so at that time, these ETs told them, and this was all secret. I didn't receive this information until recently from the granddaughter of Admiral Knowles. But they were told in 1954 that they were extraordinarily concerned about detonating thermonuclear weapons because they were causing problems with our magnetic fault lines, and that they were attempting to repair these fault lines. Actually, Wilbert Smith found scientific evidence that they were being repaired. But as you also said, RJ, they said that this detonation of nuclear weapons tore into the fabric of time and space and caused damage out in other dimensions.
Right.
And so they're here trying to protect themselves as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I don't know if this is only interdimensional entities who live here near us.
Or, they're just on a higher frequency.
Yeah.
They're on a higher frequency.
Or if it extends throughout our galaxy and beyond as well. I just, that's a question I've never been able to answer.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, though.
Yeah, we have a question from Bill. Are they concerned with the potential human threat as our technology evolves to interstellar space travel, or opening portals to another dimension?
Well, they say that we are opening some
question.
portals,
Yes.
and we're like children in a sense, with playing with dangerous weapons without knowing the consequences. They say that the human mind can create thought forms as well.
Yeah.
And so we are a danger in a sense to not only to ourselves. They talk about the negativity in the collective consciousness and how damaging that is to everything on this planet. So yes, we are a danger not only to ourselves, but if we take our brand of friendship out into space, we become a danger to everyone. And we're already a danger to the interdimensional entities who live near us.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, there's some intel coming out that, the human race is, it's been dealt with before with other races, that we're just naturally warring people, and that, we need to, some of the higher races are using us to do their wars against the races that are not so benevolent out there, because that's what they like to do. The higher people on this planet, the military, everybody, they like their toys, they like their weapons, and they're more far advanced than we know, and they've got things that and I'm sure you're aware of this, but we're already flying around out there. So yeah, I believe that we do have to get our stuff together here. We have to love one another in order to get to that fifth dimensional consciousness. But I think they're using some of our military for things out there. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just what some people do that have the money and the power. They are just so interested in that part of life, creating weapons and creating things, and being having a military, whatever, So I think there's some people that are using that to their advantage and asking us to do some things out there that we don't really know about.
Right. That's something that I haven't been able to explore. I know I've heard the stories,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen the evidence or the lie detector tests or anything like that. So I don't go to those places. As Stanton Friedman used to say, they're in my gray basket. But I have spoken with experiencers of contact who have been taken by these negative reptilian types who have made them or trained them to fight in these horrific wars. That's what they believe is happening in their lives. And they've also said that these reptilians have raped the women in their families. So these are horrible entities.
Yeah, they're very big and strong, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So.
And we have horrible entities on our own planet.
Yes, we do. And all I can say is that the councils of ETs say that they are attempting to keep them at bay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to address this from Michelle Lovell, because I think that it's something, Kathleen, that many people would like to say to you. She says Kathleen's personal story of her accident, her CFS afterwards, and how she recovered saved my life. Thank you. Received the miracle healing I asked for. Now I do my part to continue. My eternal gratitude.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes, I
I
love
love
that.
it when I hear that I've helped people.
You've
Nice.
helped so many people, so many people. It's mind blowing. How many hypnotisms do you think that you have done over the course of the last 30 years or however long you've been doing them? I know a long time. Any idea?
I've only started keeping track when I had to keep track for QHHT.
Okay.
So I did many before that, but I wasn't in business. I wasn't charging,
All right.
and I just didn't keep track of them,
Yeah.
the
Makes
count
sense.
or anything, because all of it is confidential information anyway. I
Right.
didn't want to leave those records
Right. Yeah.
where they might be found, and people's information might be disclosed.
Mhm.
Now, for Dolores Cannon's group, I keep just minimal records in a locked cabinet in a file that says destroy when I die. So any of my kids or my husband who sees it, they all know about it, and they
Okay.
will destroy it.
Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I know that you've helped so many people, so many people. And even by the public speaking, like what you're doing right now, people listening, something's going to click, something's going to feel a little normalized for them. So, thank you, bless you for what you do, Kathleen. And I know that you are a humongous part of disclosure. When I look over your life, and even with Betty and Barney and everything that has happened that led you to this point right now, was all meant to happen because you are that person. You're the spokesperson. You write about it, you talk about it, you normalize it for people, and then you help people to deal with it. So bless you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's been my life's mission as a social worker and an educator and
Right.
other writer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you've certainly done it, and you're an amazing woman.
Thank
Totally
you.
amazing. If you could say one thing overall to contactees, abductees, whatever, experiencers, I like to call all of us experiencers. What if you could say one thing that would help? What would that be?
I would say your experiences are your own. You have your own memories, your own evidence, and don't let anyone tell you that it didn't happen or that all contact is wonderful or all contact is terrible.
Right.
I have people who approach me on Facebook on practically a daily basis, who are trying to convince me that all of this is evil, or just really deplorable. But that is not what I have discovered as a result of the major studies that I've worked on. When we asked people, if you could end your contact experiences today, would you? 71, well, between on the 3 studies, between 71% and 83% said, no, we would not end it. So how could they all be terrible if
Right.
they
Exactly.
want them
Right.
to continue?
Yep.
So, just don't let know-it-alls judge you, and don't let them try to convince you that your memories are different than what they actually are.
Beautifully said. Bravo. Thank you. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
That's, my heart is so into all of us and how people deal with it. And you're right. Some people will say, oh, it's all evil, or it's also beautiful. And there is a balance, even a good experience can have some negative, and so, what people might see as a bad experience can have some positive. So yeah, there's a balance there, and everybody's experience is going to be different. Recently, I've started telling people, people make reports to different organizations because, we all encourage them, make those reports. That's how we know. That's how we get statistics. We need these reports. But people seem to make these reports thinking, okay, they're going to come back to me and they're going to make this all better. They're going to tell me this was real and this is what it was. And I'm trying to help people to realize that's not the case. So report your cases, but don't expect that to be your support system. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. If you're looking for a non-judgmental listener who will give you some support, some knowledge, some resources, go to the Mutual UFO Network's Experiencer Resource Team. You go to MUFON.com and look up under I think directors, the board of directors, the Experiencer Resource Team is underneath that listing.
Okay.
And you can file a request to have a team member speak with you without having to file for an investigation by someone who is going to do a nuts and bolts UFO investigation.
Right.
So, and the members of the team, I established this team. I set it up in the beginning
nice. You
of
did.
2011. So, and we now have more than 60 people. And so every member has a list of support groups. Many of them are online support groups.
Nice.
That you might be interested in joining if you want to talk to others who are having these experiences, or if you're looking for a hypnotherapist who is in private practice, or if you're suffering from trauma and you want a psychotherapist or an EMDR therapist. They have a list of therapists as well. And you can select the person that you want to go to. You're set up a private relationship. You don't have to give any of this information to anyone. It's covered by HIPAA laws.
Yeah.
So it's as confidential as it can be.
Nice.
Beautiful. And bless you. Thank you for starting that and for sharing that information. It's so needed. It is so needed. And we really want the world to know that it's there.
Right.
So many people don't know. They just make a report and leave it at that. And then they wait for someone to save them.
Right. And it doesn't happen. It has never happened.
Right. It can't happen that way. It really can't. We're down in like 5 minutes. So Kathleen, God bless you. We love you to pieces. Can you tell everybody where to find your books and how to contact you?
Yes. My books are available on Amazon in most of the formats. My new book I have not published as an audio book yet. Okay. And 5 of my 6 books are on Barnes & Noble. And you can also go to my website at Kathleen-Marden.com. You can see my name right there. And I sell autographed copies of my books to people in the United States. Cost too much money to send them to foreign countries. So I have that. I have lots of free articles. I have consultations. I have distance healing, energy healing that I do as well. There's a lot of information there that you can look over. And I have a blog as well.
Oh, you do? Okay. And how do people find that?
It's right on that website, Kathleen-Marden.com.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, people are thanking you.
Show it
Thank
really
you so much.
fast. Thanks, Deb and RJ, and especially Kathleen for a wonderful something.
Yes. We
Joe.
really, really love having you on. We miss you terribly.
Well, I had think about you all the time and miss you. I wish I could have been there in September, but the airlines just couldn't do it.
Yeah, we had a mess with that. So trust me.
Last year was definitely a nightmare with flights. It really was. It was scary because they kept canceling or postponing, or it was a nightmare. And I know
they couldn't guarantee they could even get me here. So
right, yeah, I know you got stuck a few times, or at least one time. Thank you, Dale. We love you. Yes. We hope that we have you on again. I cannot believe that this is the first time we've ever had Kathleen on.
I know.
Let's not have it be the last. We need to do this again. If there's a schedule coming out for the Michigan UFO Contact in the next month or so, we're working on things. We're hoping to get Kathleen back. So we'll keep everybody updated on that. You were definitely a hit of a speaker when you were there. Again, people loved you. So yeah.
And we love you too.
And we just, and I think my favorite time, Kathleen, of the whole weekend was when we got to take you back to the airport after the conference, and we got a little personal time with the three of us to just sit and talk.
Yes, that's always nice.
Yes, area 51 and a half.
That's what he calls it, area 51 and a half. The airport. He started that with Dustin Perry when we picked him up one time. Yeah, it was a little bit crazy, but okay. Any final words?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It was it's such a pleasure to see you again and talk to you again in person. Always. Too. And let's make this not so long next time.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, to you and hubby. Happy New Year. We hope to see you in 23. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful New Year. So it won't be until next year when we see you all. So everybody have a fantastic week. Have a safe New Year's Eve. And we will see you again next week. Until then, may all of your awakenings be mystical. Good night.